prepared.
The newest card coming. No.
Stay prepared.
All right, it is Matt Dawkins on the Ruby Amethyst against Chris Louie with Sapphire Amethyst, also known as Blurple. Liam, what can you tell me about the matchup?
I mean, so Blurple is a deck that we know. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it's been around for quite a while. It's very, very strong. Its game plan is to utilize the strong Amethyst cards that a lot of decks are utilizing this set, but to do that, it wants to get to the top end pretty fast. So it leverages the ramp in blue and wants to take the game long. Inevitability is with the Blurple deck. On the other side, you have Matt Dawkins on Ruby Amethyst. It's a color that's very, very different, its identity now versus what it was several sets ago. It can go aggressive, but it's not really meant for this matchup. Blurple is not a great matchup for it. It's certainly better than Emerald Sapphire, but it is going to be a little bit of uphill sledding for Matt Dawkins in this matchup, although he certainly can pull it out.
And being on the play does not hurt as we get the Rafiki Mystical Fighter, a 0-2 quest for 1, but has Challenger 3. So you don't want to be... You really don't want to be presenting anything on board like this Diablo. You're gonna not want to. You're not gonna want to quest it maybe to get that fair trade in. But Diablo, Watchful Raven comes down. Back to Chris Louie.
Yeah, and it's a great card to play on turn 1 here. Sometimes you see the Basil established, but in this particular matchup, Matt is going to try to go aggressive early and try to get some early lore. Not uncommon to see the 1-drops quest for 3 or 4 before they're taken off the board, and that Diablo can quest for 2 on turn 2. So Rafiki's shutting down that quest, and now Chris hitting the ramp.
With the Tipo Growing Sun, one of the premier ramp cards in these Blurple decks. We'll see what Matt Dawkins responds with here. I mean, you really want to go wide, but it feels like it's in contention with the usual Ruby Amethyst game plan of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Demona, right? Like it's
5 Demona.
5 Demona. The Sisu will come down. This is the Emboldened Warrior here. Will gain 1 extra strength for each card in Chris Louie's hand, which, if you're a Blurple player, you like having a lot of cards, could backfire against you with the Sisu.
Yeah, so this is kind of one of the aggressive lines in this deck is the 2 Lore Quester on turn 2, the 3 Lore Quester on, or the 2 Lore Quester on turn 3. The Palace Guard now questing, taking that potentially free quest. Happy to have those cards challenge in, but I will say I do think we missed an opportunity to quest on turn 2 when that Diablo was established.
I was wondering why, in what world you wouldn't want to. Maybe you're trying to dodge the Hypnotic Strength.
Yeah, potentially, although if your opponent's taking time to play Hypnotic Strength, then they're not ramping. So a possible missed opportunity there, but here we did get the quest on turn 2, and now we're going to have this giant Spectral Parrot come down. Now this is a very, very important card in the Amethyst matchup. It's very well statted, but it is susceptible to some sneaky removal-esque cards.
With that Vanish effect, anytime that it's targeted by an action, by Matt Dawkins' action, that Iago will disappear, getting banished to the bottom of the discard pile here as we ink a Lumiere. I wanted to shout out French people.
Yes.
Lumiere.
Lumiere.
Be my guest.
Les Sisu go on the quest.
Okay.
I can't do it. But now here we are seeing that aggressive line, taking that 5 quest, or 5 lore quest there, and we're going to follow it by another Diablo.
Another Diablo and another. Oh, Next Stop Olympus, targeting exactly what you said, Liam.
Yeah, and this card has worked into this Ruby Amethyst deck specifically for that ability. It does have some utility on its own, but all of these cards, any card that, any card that replaces itself is an easy thing to work into some of these decks to remove stuff, cards like Della's Lullaby. But here, this Next Stop Olympus basically says pay 2 ink and banish a big character, and Iago fitting the bill here. So a great option, and to be quite honest, that card is in this deck almost specifically for that play.
Right, and I don't know if you saw, but Chris Louie actually has a Bell Accomplished Mystic in hand. We'll be getting to 5 ink this turn. Matt Dawkins very, very skillfully realizing that he can turn all his cards sideways, because at most, that Bell Accomplished Mystic, if it's the one or the Cheshire Cat Inexplicable, would be able to move the damage, but now no damage exists other than this Elsa, plays it down, clears a lot of Matt Dawkins' board. That's the power of the Elsa Fifth Spirit.
Yeah, and Blurple on its opening line here, it's going 1, 2, 3, 4 into the Genie. It ramped into the Genie. No, sorry, not the Genie, but the turn 4 Iago here instead of the Genie, which we didn't stick around too long. But then Elsa on 5 is the play you like to see. Ideally, you're right, that Iago being around would have enabled him to do even more control, and then that Bell Accomplished Mystic to follow this up. So this is Blurple on its ideal opening, I would say, or pretty close to it. Although I think in this matchup, the Genie might have been a better play just to avoid that next stop Olympus, but
Yep.
let's see.
Now Cheshire Cat's going to come down. We're going to quest out for another 3. We're going to get to 9. We're almost halfway to game. And Matt misses an ink here. Doesn't ink anything, doesn't move any of the damage. I guess there would be no damage to move over because Elsa is the only character on the side of Chris Louis' board. But now this Bell Accomplished Mystic is going to wreak havoc here. Oh, maybe a turn later because there's nothing threatening the Elsa and her evasive nature as the Rafiki Mystical Fighter, another one, comes down here. And do you quest? I assume you quest here. There's no immediate threats.
Yeah, Chris is definitely in the control role. You might be able to sneak out. And no evasive threats. You could sneak out a lure if you're not doing anything else with it. That damage is likely to be slid around, though. And so, you know, one of the things with the Amethyst decks is, especially if you're taking an aggressive line like Matt did, where you're dumping a lot of cards onto the board, and it's also an important note, we did talk about how great of a play Next Stop Olympus was, but it does not replace itself like a lot of other cards that are worked into the deck for that reason, so you burn a card there as well. I mean, one of the dangers is that you can burn through your hand. Now, normally in Amethyst, that's not a big problem because there's a lot of mid-game draw cards like Genie, which replace themselves, cards like Dumbo, which can net you a number of different cards, also cards like the Guidebook, but a lot of times Amethyst decks really need to find a way to refill their hand in the mid-game. That's kind of the game plan. Dump early, refill in the mid-game, and then pursue your end game plan. And if you don't manage to find that card draw, you can burn out.
And one of those cards, notably, that do refill your hand in the mid-game is Demona, Scourge of the Wyvern Clan. I'm wondering if that's why Matt, with one card in hand, didn't elect to ink anything. Maybe it was an uninkable. Maybe it was a Demona, and he's hoping to empty out his hand. You don't want to ink the Cheshire Cat and then just say pass, but maybe, I mean, there's a lot going on here.
Cheshire Cat, there he goes.
Move some damage over, being able to take out the Elsa or the Rafiki.
Yeah, that not inexplicable why he's a favorite in the meta right now, sliding damage around. People love to do it with Bell. You love to do it when you love it even better when you can do it multiple times in a game. So Cheshire Cat there taking advantage of that boost ability. Oh, this is an indicator here. This is fun. What was that, Brent?
That was the Maui Half Shark hitting the Inkwell, one of the cards that you actually want to play. Painfully, Matt kind of says, I gotta do it right now, which leads me to believe that the last card in hand might be that Demona hoping to ink and refill his entire hand while exerting all the characters on Chris Louis' side of the board. Of course, I'm just guessing here. Neither of us know. But yes, this is the Half Shark. I guess you could call it a combo deck. It is a combo of sorts.
Kind of. And so in previous metas, that Half Shark was used in concert with a number of different cards to win the game. You cycle like Pirate's Life and things like that. In this meta, it's not generally doing that. You don't run as many actions, but what you're trying to do is use it as a powerful body on the board. It's a powerful evasive challenger, and the extra lore and the actions you get out of it are kind of a bonus. They can win you the game, but it's really there for the board presence more than anything else.
And that Bell Accomplished Mystic did put 3 damage onto the Sisu. We were able to challenge in with the Elsa. Because Chris Louis is low on cards, it barely does any damage back to the Elsa. Now we're going to play an Elsa, so Demona off the table, I would say, because you would probably want to just ink the Elsa and play Demona if you had it in hand. Unsure of what Matt Dawkins has now. Not quite the start you want to see, and the question is, do you quest in with the Palace Guard? You probably want to keep the Cheshire Cat available. But we'll go ahead and keep creeping up here.
Yeah, and this is where things start getting challenging because Matt has managed to push his lure total all the way to 13, which feels pretty good. But we're in the point of the game where certain big cards start to become available. A Hades looms large if you can draw into it, and that's one of the ways that's one of the reasons Blurple wins this matchup is if at the end of the game you start to draw into Haymaker after Haymaker and start dropping Hades on the board, which can really swing board states, you run away with the game. So did drop a Genie there, drawing into a not terribly impactful card, and we'll send it right to the Inkwell.
Into the unknown. We'll send Elsa. I mean, she sings that song, doesn't she?
That's true. That seems like a flavor foul, right?
It does seem like a flavor foul. The Palace Guard will be banished by the Bell Accomplished Mystic. We're going to quest for 2. Now, Chris Louis with 6 lore on board. It's a battle of top decks. Who's going to find? It's almost like whoever finds the Demona first is going to win, unless Chris just keeps finding cards that he doesn't really need, like that Basil that he put into his own Inkwell. Both of these players struggling for the draw here, but Matt Dawkins, 13-4 on lore, putting him in the range you really don't want to quest that Cheshire Cat. It's such a powerful card. But at a certain point, you got to start racing here, and I'm wondering what it is that Matt is thinking about. There is a Tinkerbell. What is this other card? We just passed.
We won't know. Not even boosting there for the extra card. Chris drawing into Sail the Azurite Sea. Also not super impactful, but it will allow him to dig another card deeper. He does find terrible top decks here. Terrible top decks.
Both sides, apparently.
Oh, my goodness.
Matt keeping his cards close to the vest here. We cannot see what it is. My guess, next stop Olympus, maybe, because any characters you'd slam down immediately.
Yeah, it could be an endgame finish. Yeah, probably.
Unless he's playing something absolutely insane, like a Shere Khan or something, like an 8-cost Shere Khan. But you typically, up to 6 ink is where you need to be for these Amethyst decks so you can slam down the Demona. I'm assuming it's next stop Olympus because you really want to have the hero synergy with that card. It's one of the combo pieces with the Maui Half Shark because you can keep recurring it back and forth, wiping your opponent's board with it. Genie is going to come down, and this is not a bad top deck here because if Chris Louis can't find an answer, that's going to be an additional 2 lore next turn. If he quests that Tinkerbell, it's probably going to deal 3 damage back to whatever it is, get up to 14 lore. And Matt is in a race here.
Well, and it's also worth noting that the Genie combined with the Cat is an answer for either of those Genies if they choose to quest. So Chris looking to turn the corner, become kind of the beatdown here and push the lore total. Now that Genie kind of checks that because you can challenge into the opposing Genie and then slide that 2 damage from yours onto that Genie to finish it off. So a decent card to draw here to kind of perhaps delay Chris from racing ahead.
Mm-hmm. And now we have a little bit of a standoff here. And smartly so, Chris Louis just getting bricking, as the players put it, off of the top decks. I don't know if you saw it,
what did he draw?
It was Into the Unknown, but there's no exerted characters on the side of Matt Dawkins' board. Into the Unknown would take one of the exerted characters on your opponent's side of the board, put it into their inkwell. No targets, though, right now, as this Bell, Accomplished Mystic, will quest.
Yeah, Chris can't figure out why his deck is against him right now, just drawing into multiple cards that do him no good. On the other side, we can't see Matt's hand, but possibly the same thing happening because we haven't seen a lot of action. Although he did get an extra card off that Genie, so perhaps has a couple of options now. Maybe he'll be able to establish a large board presence or something to impact those Genies. But it's part of the problem with Ruby Amethyst right now is there's not a ton of direct removal. Oh, there's that Demona.
There's Demona.
There she is.
A little bit of a double-edged sword here, too, because Chris Louis was low on cards. Both players, when you play Demona, Scourge of the Wyvern Clan, if you have less than 3 cards, you get to draw up until you have 3 cards. Chris Louis says, I will take that deal. I will draw 2 cards. And Matt Dawkins now has to do something.
Yeah, but I think you don't have a choice here. I think it establishes a big body. It does give you some more cards, and you have to find something to answer these other cards. And Chris, fortunately, not drawing into anything super impactful. Now, that Dumbo does help quite a bit. And it is going to be pretty impactful if Chris wants to take a turn to just rebuild his hand. So that is a potentially impactful card. The Tipo is not. But fortunate for Matt that Chris didn't draw into a Hades here. That really would have swung things.
Matt trying to double ink here. Both players going, wait a second. You already inked that Cheshire Cat. That's why it's up. Both of them having a little bit of a giggle here. It has been a crazy amount of rounds these players have gotten to. Congratulations to both these guys. They are doing exceptionally well. But now it's going to be... Oh, it's in Matt's court. Do you quest?
Oh, double Dumbo now.
Do you quest for 4? Do you just get up to 17 and say, I'm going to try and beat you? You got to answer me and I'll just keep throwing threats onto the board? Or do you, for some reason, just stand up tall when you know that Chris Louis could draw Demona, exert everything, and then it was all for naught? Like, what do you think, Liam? Oh, it's Chris's turn.
Yeah, double. No, I answer your question in a second. We want a double Dumbo here, just enough ink to do it. And at this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lore on the board, can go all the way to 18. And Chris electing not to quest, not to expose the Genies to the Genie crackback or the Bell to that Demona, which is rather stronger than that Bell. So, but we will see if Matt chooses to to pursue that. I think there is a world in which you do that and force Chris to spend his characters challenging rather than drawing cards off those Dumbos or challenging himself. But not a lot of reach in these Ruby Amethyst decks. So if Chris does manage to clear the board, it is difficult to close things out in a world where Hades answers card after card.
This feels like the critical turn in which we will have a winner or not. And once we challenge in with this Elsa 5th Spirit, we crystallize that Genie, move the damage over with the Cheshire Cat. That Genie is now eliminated, banished, whatever
Fantastic
you want to
play.
say. Absolutely fantastic play. And now we just quest out, right, Liam? Am I just getting too nervous here?
We'll see. I think that might be the way you go. And Elsa's so powerful when paired because now none of his other characters have to challenge. They can quest. He managed to do a little bit of board control and keep everything free to go pursuing lore if they so choose. And now I think Matt doing the math here, trying to figure out, can he clear everything, or can I leave, or will something be alive to close out the game next turn?
Maybe inking and playing a 1-drop. That you have to,
that might be just
there
enough.
We go. And now you quest out 6, get up to 19, and say, if you have an answer for every single thing on my side of the board, which is something that Blurple does struggle with, then you can go ahead and win the game. But if not, which I don't think you will, I'll win the game. We got to get up, right? 6.
Yeah, and it's
19 on board.
I'm doing math here. It's you know, we do have an Into the Unknown in hand, Chris does. He could draw into another one, perhaps. That's probably the best case scenario if he was looking to remove things for cheap. Not enough ink to do an Into the Unknown and a Hades if that's what he draws into. So, was that a Hades? It was a Hades.
It was a Hades.
I don't think there's enough ink. I think I counted 8 last turn. I don't think there's enough to go up to 10. And even if there was 9, you have to keep these. You can't ink one. So he did draw into the Hades. He'll be able to do some removal, but not both of those. And so just probably not enough.
Right, and with the 4 willpower of the Cheshire Cat, the Genie, this Elsa with the 5, this Demona with the 6, it's just too much willpower for Chris to deal with. And game 1 goes to the Ruby Amethyst player. This is insane, Liam, because typically you ask me Ruby Am versus Blurple, it's going to be in Blurple's favor. I feel like a large percentage of the time.
Yeah.
But Matt Dawkins showing that you can do it as long as you know the game plan against Blurple.
Yeah, it's a great game by both players. Chris Louis ran into a rough string of cards there in the middle, not finding Hades until later. Hades is one of the difference makers in this matchup. On the other side, I'll point out, next stop Olympus into that Iago Giant Spectral Parrot, a key play. Chris establishing that Giant Spectral Parrot because of its big board presence, trying to shut down questing, and Matt with a great answer for it. That's why you run that card. And so there's a different world in which a Genie is played there, and the game is very, very different.
Right, because Chris had the Bell Accomplished Mystic in hand and was hoping to use the Giant Spectral Parrot to challenge in and then move the damage from the Spectral Parrot onto something else. That would have been a game, probably, that would have been very difficult. I'll say that, for Matt to recover from.
Yeah, absolutely. Another card I'll highlight that we didn't see, the Headless Horseman. It is a card that banishes a character of strength 2 or less, and that is used to banish high-impact characters like Genies, like Elsa's. Didn't see it this matchup, but it's one of the reasons that you play a Ruby Amethyst set. This set is for that card to swing board states pretty strongly.
A little bit less effective, though, against Blurple, who are known for maybe higher strength characters, as the Basil comes down for Chris and the Palace Guard comes down the Spectral Sentry for Matt Dawkins, a 1/4 with Vanish.
Yeah, and a fantastic 1-drop. This is the best one I think you want to play in this deck. It's the 1/4. It sticks around for a while. Usually can sneak out a couple extra lore. But look what just happened. Look at this turn 2. Look at this turn 2, Brent.
Junior Woodchuck Guidebook.
That is not what you want to play on turn 2 in a Blurple match. You want to be playing 100% of the time that ramp card. We missed ramp on turn 2. That looms really, really large, and all of a sudden the Blurple deck really on the back foot here.
Right, especially when you're on the play. You're the one who can take the initiative and you miss the ramp. Now your options are limited, and you don't even have a card like the Cheshire Cat, which has aided in these matchups for Blurple. Last set, it was all about, we don't have any 3 drops. We only have 4 drops, right? We got a ramp or else it's bust. Well, now we have those options, but Chris doesn't have that card in his hand either. So maybe we can throw down that Rafiki that I saw, a mystical fighter. Maybe we can.
No.
Yeah.
And again, cracked the Woodchuck guidebook to draw 2 cards. He could have inked, ramped again this turn to try to catch up. Did not find a ramp card off that Woodchuck guidebook again. The odds at this point are like high 90% that you would have found a ramp card by now after seeing so many cards on both the altar and after drawing this many cards in the early game. And just unfortunately, Chris not managing to do it, really trying to figure out what his pathway back in is. At least establishes the Rafiki, though, to check that Diablo. So definitely able to shut down early questing, but Chris definitely feels off script right now.
Oh, I mean, now Matt has got to be feeling pretty good, but Matt did notably alter 6. I do see the Sisu Emboldened Warrior in hand. I'm sure that is the, that is the play here. 2 lore, 1/4, but gains 1 strength for every card in Chris Louis' hand, which is a lot at this point, especially after cracking that Junior Woodchuck guidebook this early. Still no ramp. Still no way to pull ahead here, and that is the problem for Blurple when they miss their ramp. They have a lot of big, powerful cards that they are dying to play. They just don't have the ink for it.
No, there is a script, and this deck is clearly off it. Now, Genie is on the script of this deck. It's definitely better than the Spectral Parrot if you're expecting an X-Stomp Olympus there, but you'd love to have played that a turn earlier with the ramp. At least you'll get another card here, and you can establish an evasive character. But it is a prime target for that Headless Horseman in a couple turns. We'll see if Matt manages to swing the board state that way. But again, Matt's probably feeling pretty good at this point. Although, again, I want to point out that Rafiki, again, a very high impact card on that turn because it has shut down questing for that Diablo. And here's another potentially high impact card.
That is Lumiere. Fiery Friend will give 1 strength to each character on Matt's side of the board. Will say, I don't want you to take out my Diablo still. Make that trade with the Rafiki clean, but anything else you want to take out, you'll have to trade for now. But I mean, Matt, definitely not the turn 4 play that you want if you're Matt, right? You're looking for Genie, you're looking for something else. You want to keep questing out, but we're getting to 4 here. We're jumping ahead of Chris, who now has an important decision to make. We have a Spectral Parrot in hand, looks like. It also looks like an Ink Runner. I can't quite make out the other 2 cards. I did see an Ink Runner earlier.
I think that might be another guidebook in the bottom.
I think that's a Hades. Ooh, that's a Hades looking for a deal.
Yep.
So this would be the turn. You can ink something, play the Hades, target the, let's say, Sisu or the Diablo, perhaps draw a couple cards.
We have some great top end here. We just need to get there in a world which he ramped and is on 5 ink at this point. Chris feels a little bit better, but that guidebook giving him some extra options. There we have the Dumbo immediately going to exert the Genie to draw a card.
Yep, and now we're setting up the Dumbo, 9th wonder of the universe here. Breaking records is his ability to draw a card and gain a lore. He gives the ability to other people with his other ability, making history. Are there more times I can say ability? Probably not.
Probably not. I don't think you have the ability to do it.
As the Basil quests, we get 1 on the board here, another 1 lore, and gives it to Rafiki to take out the Sisu. A happy trade here, but now the Rafiki isn't quite there to make these trades. Still not what you want to see, though, if you are Chris Louis. Yeah, the missing of the ramp was pretty. The Headless Horseman, the terror of Sleepy Hollow, and the terror of Chris Louis, as you're able to take out a character with 2 strength or less. Basically, the old card Brawl on a body, as people like to put it, takes out that Genie.
Yeah, a terrible card for Chris to see there. No, it's one of the things in Disney Lorcana, there's not a lot of catch-up mechanics, we call them. And catch-up mechanics, one of the ways I describe them is cards that allow you to establish a board presence while affecting your opponent's board state. And cards like Elsa, which allow you to play a character while challenging, removing something, keeping her on the board, or Hades, which allow you to establish a body while removing an opponent's character, really, really big. Headless Horseman is filling that role in this mid-game evasive brawl that we have going on. And speaking of brawl, I see some brawling going on there right now.
Yep, Dumbo took out the Diablo. Chris smartly identifying that we have to take threats off of the board here. Also used the Hypnotic Strength to take out the Palace Guard with Vanish. Notable though, a 1-cost, 1/4 character. How much lore did that character get? Am I right? And now there's the Iago, Giant Spectral Parrot with the Vanish. I did see the Next Stop Olympus in Matt's hand earlier. Might have been inked at a certain point.
There was one inked.
Gotcha. Okay.
So might have a second, but
Yep.
here so it does feel, again, we talked all game about how Chris is off script. We talked about how Matt is establishing a board. He's doing some excellent control. That Headless Horseman is impactful. But the longer this game goes on, the more the better Chris feels. There's some incredibly high impact cards in the end game, and once we get in Hades range, things can start swinging pretty quickly. So, again, if Matt doesn't manage to close this down slowly over the next few turns, it does give Chris room to start swinging things around.
If I'm counting correctly, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which puts us in Hades range, as you were saying. Ursula, though, Whisper of Vanessa instead being chosen.
Yeah, this is a card which it saw a little bit of play early. It's seeing more and more as time goes on. It's a big body on the board, especially once it's boosted, getting evasive and that +1 lore. So 4/5, difficult to remove, very good stat line. But Quest for 3, and more importantly, it's an answer for your opponent's evasive characters in these evasive brawls.
The 5 damage getting back to Iago. Some of you might be saying, well, why not 4? It says 4 on the Headless Horseman. It's because that Lumiere is up, giving the +1 strength to all of the characters on Matt's side of the board. Just one of these kind of annoying cards to play against, right? It changes the math, as you yourself say, Liam. What is the game plan here? I mean, we're at 8. We kind of don't want to quest out our Lumiere, maybe our Tinkerbell, but...
The plan is play a Maui Half Shark, and that is one of the things that Matt is looking to it establishes a big presence on the board. It threatens other big characters. It can do some shenanigans with actions, although you don't typically run a ton of them in this deck. You run some, but... huge play.
The Hades Infernal Schemer. I was about to go over what the Maui Half Shark's abilities do, but it's inconsequential.
You knew that was coming.
Because
you knew that was coming.
Infernal Schemer says, is there a downside to this? And for Chris, the answer is no.
Yeah, generally there's no downside to banishing or sending a Maui Half Shark to the Inkwell.
Not a bad card, though, for Matt to draw here, because with this Dumbo 9th Wonder of the Universe, he will be able to establish a draw engine that might allow him to get back into this game.
Unfortunately, I have to stick around for a whole turn to be able to leverage him, and we'll see if that happens.
Yeah.
That Hades, it's been sitting in Chris's hand all game long, and just not a lot of juicy targets for it, but as soon as that Maui Half Shark slammed down, you knew that was the moment Chris was waiting for it to unleash Hades on the game board.
He kept holding that card back, and I kept saying, why is he holding that? Doesn't he want to get rid of something? Doesn't he want to get rid of the Cheshire Cat? And Chris, with the amount of patience of a saint, says, no, I'm going to wait until that Maui Half Shark comes down, because that's one of the cards that would be game-changing.
Yeah, now perhaps the plan here earlier, establishing damage on the Iago to slide some over to other characters, knowing that Cheshire Cat was going to be available. But I do want to know earlier, Matt made that Headless Horseman available to that challenge, getting an extra lore and making it a tempting target for that Iago. That Iago able to clean it up in a favorable trade, and now that's the reason that damage is residually sticking around. We'll see if that pays off. Oh, never mind. That damage is not going to stick on that Vanessa, most likely, because Chris is going to drop a Cheshire Cat of his own. And there goes that Lumiere. Extinguished, you might say.
Yep. And now we can quest out the Hades also, get up to 12. This is not looking good for Matt.
No, Matt's been at 8 lore for many, many turns here. And this is where Blurple decks shine. It's the end game where they get all of their top-end answers, particularly those Hades. Hades is one of the premier removal options in the game right now. It's one of the reasons you play Blurple. It's one of the primary reasons you play Blurple, I think. Ramp in service of what? Ramp in service of getting to Hades range in your end game answers. So it's tough.
You were like a fortune teller, Liam, because you said once we get into Hades range, it all can kind of turn around. And that was the exact moment when he hit 7 ink that it all turned around. And Matt has not gained a lore since you said that, I believe. We're going to be able to take out this genie. Sure, we're taking out a nice 2-quester. Sticky, evasive, 2-4.
It
but
does feel good. It's a little bit of a board swing. It's a 2-character swing, but that Hades still upright, that Iago still upright, and again, importantly, Matt not able to quest necessarily.
not able to really do anything here. We will be able to put 2 damage onto the Ursula. We will. Oh! Instead, we're going to challenge into the Hades there, and
Okay, yeah.
I mean, there was an alternate play line where we moved the damage to the Cheshire Cat. Wait, why is that? Oh! The Headless Horseman's other ability, which is gathering strength. Anytime that a character is banished, all your other characters gain +1 strength. It took me a second there, but once the genie was banished, it gave additional strength, and then once the Hades was banished, it just kind of snowballs.
I knew that's what it was, but I was blanking out on what the first banish was, and it was a long turn, so it was the Horseman,
Right.
Coming in and activating himself. So there we go. It's a great card.
I felt it too. I was like, wait a second. I was trying to think as I was talking.
Like, what was banished earlier?
Yeah, exactly.
So triggering Headless Horseman, but that does enable that favorable trade. And great board state here, but oh my goodness. So Madam M Elephant, they're not run at 4 anymore generally. It's one of the only bounce option packages, or one of the bounce options that we kept from the Madam M package when everything else was rotated out. But this boost ability, it is wonderful. It allows you to do powerful things, but it also allows you to stack up cards, and those cards follow the card in play, and that's what happened here.
Once the Madam M Elephant's boost effect, the bounce effect activated on that Cheshire Cat who had boosted, I believe, 2 additional cards, 3 additional cards under it. All of those cards then come back to the hand of Chris Louis, turning a disadvantage into an advantage as he quests with this Iago and says, can you catch up to me? Your cards are not as powerful as my cards are by design of the decks. Matt Dawkins, Genie, not a bad place to start, but has to start eliminating and banishing some of the threats on Chris Louis' side of the board if he hopes to win this race.
There's that next stop Olympus. We saw this game 1, a 2-cost action, taking out that Giant Spectral Parrot, courtesy of the Vanish ability.
Now, I mean, the Headless Horseman effect triggers gathering strength, but nothing to really challenge into here. And the question for Matt is, you really want to get on the board. You need to start questing, but you kind of can't. Because if you give damage to this Madam Mim Elephant, it will be a gift to Chris, because at the beginning of each turn, the Madam Mim Elephant can move 2 damage counters to another character.
Now another high-impact evasive character coming in. Elsa exerting that Cheshire Cat. That elephant, you pointed out the value of having damage on it. Chris is going to get damage on it himself by challenging into that cat, removing it from the board. Doesn't want any more catty shenanigans. And then his own cat was slide the damage over to the Headless Horseman.
Yep, using the Cheshire Cat, once again showcasing why this inexplicable kitty is so dangerous.
I can explain why it's good.
And now
there's the fist bump.
Yeah, I guess it is explicable to you. Matt Dawkins and Chris Louis fist bump here as we move on to a game 3. We got 24.5 minutes here. What does Matt have to do to win out this next game here?
It's generally go fast. It's look for positive trades. There are high impact removal options that Matt can do. For example, we saw the next stop Olympus into the Giant Spectral Parrot, or getting that Headless Horseman to banish a Genie or something in the mid game to do that board swing is pretty huge. But it really is about being aggressive. Establish a 1-crossed character that can quest for 3 or 4 before it's banished. Try to get that high lore character out, perhaps that Diablo on turn 2. And importantly, though, on the play, you have to remember the card draw in the mid game. If you burn out too early by going wide, you could stall out, so got to keep that going. And on the other side, Chris's plan is just let's hit ramp this game.
Let's
ramp. Let's do the ramp thing.
I did not see a ramp card in Chris Louis' hand. Oh, but he does find the Sail the Azurite Sea.
So we will have a game.
I believe this is the first game in which he's had the ramp, so he clawed that one back from a very terrible position, missing ramp that last game, and has taken us here. Now Matt Dawkins on the play, favorable, definitely favorable for Matt to be on the play, less favorable into the matchup.
Matt didn't have a bad opening last game, and when your opponent misses ramp, you're feeling pretty good. Probably feels a little disappointing to let that game slip away. When you're on the draw and your opponent misses ramp as a blurble player. So Matt looking to clean this up here, try to try to run away with this match, but he's
I
going to have to be
do appreciate
quick.
the sportsmanship there. Nice little fist bump. Everything's on the line here. One of these players will be taken out of contention, but we're still showing some manners. Palace Guard is going to come down. That Spectral Sentry, a 1-4 body. Last game, I feel like it got 4 or 5 lore out of that 8 lore. We'll see what happens here as the Royal Guard comes down on Chris Louis' side. The Octopus Soldier, with his ability heavily armed, get it? Every card that is drawn gives Challenger +1 to that Royal Guard Octopus Soldier. So a 2-drop here. We'd usually want to see the Diablo, I'm assuming, a nice little 2-quester, but instead...
Oh, no, 2-on-2. This isn't bad either. This isn't bad either, going wide here. But again, you do burn through your hand. Luckily, that Diablo does replace itself. So you do have 2 lore on the board, just a different way. The Octopus Soldier, a decent challenger. And that Diablo is, unfortunately, it's a card that's seen play for a while. It's not a high-impact card here, though. Tipo will be able to clean it up pretty quickly. And so you'll get some lore out of it, but it won't stick around for terribly long if we do choose to quest out here.
And interesting because Chris had the option to be able to play down the Tipo or the Sail the Azurite Sea. Sail the Azurite Sea, I feel like a little more value you get because you get to draw a card, but...
So yes, unless you're playing around the Demona. If you're looking to play that Demona at a certain point, or you're worried about your opponent playing the Demona, sometimes pushing your hand size down in order to maximize the benefit of the Demona it could be what you're thinking of doing.
Right, and he did ink his Genie, notably, which is not a great catch-up card when you're the one on the draw and you kind of have to play catch-up. Is that a 1 jump ahead I see in the hand of Chris?
It might be. One thing I will mention before the 1 jump ahead is the Tipo also checks the Diablo, which is another reason you play that down. And 1 jump ahead, perhaps you see it. A lot of people, I think it is more common than not now to run the 9th ramp.
It is not. I believe that's actually a Basil.
Basil Practice Detective, okay. I was going to talk all about math and 9 versus 8, whatever. But
who needs that when it's a Basil?
Who needs that when it's a Basil?
When it's a silly old Basil.
Yeah.
Cheshire Cat was played down on Matt Dawkins' side of the board, but no damage on anything yet. Going to be a little bit annoying for Chris, but not the end-all, be-all here as he thinks through the next play. I mean, you can... Ooh!
Oh, interesting. 2 guidebooks down, and you saw 2 ink there because of the bonus from the Azurite Siege. He was trying to think about which extra one to place, and so a double ramp here, trying to get to that end game and establishing a Basil as well. But you can see how he's managed to push his hand size down again, and I believe he has a Demona in hand.
He does. That's what he's setting up for. That's why the guidebook may be not valued. If Matt is paying attention, he might be saying, why would you ink 2 Junior Woodchuck guidebooks? Just throwing away 4 cards, potentially? Might be saying to himself, well, Chris is going to be on a Demona turn next turn, might choose to even quest this cat out. What do you think? If you think your opponent is going to Demona you soon, obviously you want to dump out your hand so you gain the benefit too. But Matt is so smart.
Absolutely. Checking, knowing that Demona is probably coming down, those characters will be exerted anyway, and he's also trying to be the beatdown this game, so questing all the way to 8. Now there's that trade. That's why you established that Tipo earlier. Chris will draw a card off the Diablo being banished, so off the board, and now here is that Demona. It's going to exert all of Matt's characters, which is only 1 remaining, and anybody lower than 3 cards draws up to 3.
And so smart to challenge into that Diablo first. Just a sequencing thing, because now you draw 1 less card off of the Demona.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just brilliant stuff all
great.
around.
That's a great point, pointing out the sequencing here. And you know, I think it's, especially on long days, it's easy sometimes to miss those most players get it right most of the time. We're all good, especially at this level when you're in the winning. But it's long days, and sometimes slipping up just a little bit and accidentally, you're so excited to play the Demona, you play it first, you can lose yourself the game by just a simple sequence.
Right,
error.
one card deeper out of Matt Dawkins' deck could have been the difference here. We still have a lot of game to go here, 17 and a half minutes. Round 11, to your point, round 11, you're not as fresh as you were round 1 or 2. Even 3 to 10, you're not as fresh. So instead of electing to make a deal with this Hades and put that Demona on the bottom of the deck, Chris Louis says, no, go ahead, draw 2 cards. Your 2 cards will not be as powerful as the cards that I will be able to draw off the top of my deck. It's more important for me to keep this Demona, keep something that I can keep challenging with.
Yeah.
As the Palace Guards go ahead and rush in We are aggroing out to 10 lore, and now Chris Louis with 0 lore here has to start establishing some lore while establishing a board while banishing some characters. A lot to ask.
Yeah, the Palace Guard's really high impact. They're just 1-drops, they're 1-4s, but really high impact cards so far this game. He is able to answer with the Demona there, but let's keep in mind that Stone by Day ability. Chris, with several cards in hand, will have to get down under 3 if he wants her to ready at the start of next turn. And there we are going to have the support challenging, but it's only for 3. And so imagine a world in which there's Diablos or Rafikis played instead of that Palace Guard. They're simply not as effective. Palace Guard incredibly impactful in the early game in these Ruby Amethyst decks.
Yup, Cheshire Cat's going to come down. Which damage counter do we move? Yeah, that seems right. Protect your Demona. Take 1 damage off the Demona, because I guess Tipo, you could make an argument, because I don't know why you would. Why Tipo? Why would you think Tipo for...
Just thinking through the lines.
Thinking through the lines makes sense.
So here we are going to play another Sail the Azurite Sea draw card. We draw into a Dumbo. So now Hades in hand, Dumbo in hand. We are in Hades' range with the ink. So that will swing things. And all of a sudden, the Cheshire Cat can be down there, incredibly impactful, removing that extra Palace Guard. And it seems like a small thing, but that is 1 more character off the board, 1 more resource that you don't have to devote to removing it next turn, and 1 more lore that Matt doesn't get to play. Now we're going to see that Half Shark come down again.
Ooh, am I wrong? I believe Chris Louis has been holding on to a Hades this entire time. I think we're about to see the sequel to last game. That Hades is coming down. You do not want to see that Maui Half Shark.
It is a nice, juicy target. It checks a lot of things, and there it goes off to the Inkwell. Matt saying, I'd love to get these to stick around for 1 turn, please. Can I just have my Maui stay around for 1 turn?
Right.
And there, that frees up the board a little bit to quest. That Tipo, you don't mind losing it. And the Demona looks like going to go in a quest as well. I missed... he did get down under 2 last turn. I forget, he had a lot of cards in hand and managed to empty it out to ready Demona. So, but there we go.
Incredible players just find a way to do it. Says, what is the challenge? I need to have 2 cards in hand. I need to remove. I need to get a wide board. Literally everything that I just said Chris needs to do, Chris just did.
Well, let me just correct myself here because the chat's probably screaming right now. Yeah, Demona's a gargoyle. She does not. She's like the one without the.
No, she still has Stone by Day.
No, there we go. Yeah. So all right, we go. All right.
They're all gargoyles, Liam. At the end of the day, they're gonna. If it's daytime, they're stone.
They're stone. All right. Matt here managing to go wide. All of a sudden, this game feeling a little average. Going to offer another deal. Same character. We'll see if Chris is inclined to lose it this time. I
mean, he went through all the trouble to empty his hand to 2. Do you? I feel like that psychologically makes you want to keep your Demona, but you don't want Matt to just run away with the game, start getting a whole bunch of cards in hand, and it looks like Chris agrees, even though he did all of that work to empty his hand to 2. We are going to also boost the Cheshire Cat. We're going to move the damage over to the Basil, probably one of the exact things that Chris was thinking about. And do we quest? I mean, is this Hades challenging into the Tipo? Are we going to quest it out here? I mean, how much is that? We're not going to do anything?
No, it's just a challenging position here. No pun intended.
Great pun, though.
Yeah,
intended or not.
I mean, there's just some great answers over there. I mean, the double challenge allows you to answer without losing either the cat or the Hades. Then you can slide damage around. Won't matter here whether you quest it or not, because Elsa is going to come and exert the cat. We're going to deal some damage, and we're going to slide damage around, and there, just like that.
Just like that, no more cat. You know it's good because it rhymes. Elsa Fifth Spirit crystallizing.
Oh, man.
Letting that Cheshire Cat go. That Tinkerbell was underneath the Cheshire Cat.
That was catchy.
Oh, thank you. I was just getting around.
Yeah.
Look at it. We're to loop. We're to loop, Liam. Okay. These players making very crazy plays. I do want to actually point out that we only have 12 and a half minutes left here. The score is 10-6. We are close to finishing out this game, but these players do have to play a little hurry up here if we're going to finish this game on time.
Yeah, it does. It does feel, though, like the game is slipping through Matt's fingers a little bit here. There are some high impact cards in this deck, but perhaps if your hand size is low enough, you can establish a Demona, draw a few more cards of your own. But the problem is at the top end, Blurple is just so much better. There's just so many better removal answers, whether it's the Hades or Into the Unknown if the opportunity presents itself. And then it's a challenge. So we'll see if he finds something. Because what he really wants to do here,
what does he really want to do,
What he really want to do is go wide, right? There's not a lot of wide. That's where Blurple struggles. It struggles into Amethyst Steel, for example, where Amethyst Steel builds up huge card advantage in the mid game and they manage to go wide in the end game. And so that's one of the ways you want to close this out is by dumping a lot of cards onto the board and forcing Chris to answer a wide board. Lumiere is a little helpful in terms of the math. Cheshire Cat will allow you to do some damage shenanigans, but again, nothing super impactful here.
Yeah, and to your point, like, if Matt had enough ink to play out, let's say 4 Diablo Watchful Ravens, right, all questing for 2, that would have been the optimal play here, right? That would have been, we want to get as many high questing characters as possible. Matt doing the best with what he's got, though, putting 1 damage over, sliding it over, leading me to believe that he's not going to challenge. He's instead going to quest. Matt's not going to quest. Matt's going to keep these Hades up and say, oh, you know what? I'm gonna save these Hades. I don't know. Am I missing something? I would think that Matt. Maybe I'm just a little too squirrely here, but I would be like, I gotta quest. I gotta pull the trigger. I gotta let me get these Hades. Let me start questing. Let me get up to 12. But Matt's showing immense amounts of patience here.
Yeah, it's just you will gain the lore, but you are going to lose them on the challenge, and the cat will be able to make some use of those damage counters as well. So,
and another Madam M Elephant recurring back 3 nice cards to Chris Louis in the form of the Cheshire Cat and whatever 2 cards were underneath, and now Chris Louis. It's like a little present. You get to open it up and see what you had under the cat the whole time here. One of the best.
Like a little present.
Yeah, you don't know what it is.
A little cat present.
Yeah.
He's been accumulating cards and gives you a little gift.
Yeah.
That's true. Speaking of cards, Dumbo coming down here now. And Chris now, and between these 2 games, has managed to draw, I think, 6 or 7 cards off of the Cheshire Cat. So, that benefit of that boost ability. Matt boosting himself over there, but I don't think you usually see elephants run in this deck or a convenient way to scoop that cat. There may be a card I'm not thinking of, but in any case,
yeah, the magical maneuvers.
Magical maneuvers could do it,
one
or
of
if
those
you run
cards.
the
But I haven't
Olaf
seen
is
Chris.
The other one if you run
right,
the Olaf,
right.
Usually here,
have not seen Chris with either of those other cards. So maybe saying, Madam M Elephant really good, especially here because now it's another card that will be able to slide over damage, making Matt not want to quest out his cards, which is exactly what he wants to do. Chris, meanwhile, is slowly but surely gaining steady lore each turn. He's up to 8 now. It went from 10 to 0 to 10 to 8, Liam.
Yeah, and just creeping up, trying to close this out. I'm really struggling to think of the lines Matt has back into this game. That card might help. That might help, and that's one of the reasons that you save those Hades now, exerting everything, and now you can offer trades on your own terms.
Yeah, but Matt kind of gestured like he was going to pass the turn. I'm wondering what you do. You do have the Lumiere, right? So you can use both of these Hades to 2 for 1 into the Madam M Elephant and save them back. It's not what you want to do. You can 2 for 1 into the Hades Infernal Schemer, take a 2-quester off the board.
Yeah, the math is still just wrong. Although that cat is going to be able to do some shenanigans. That Dumbo, though, is incredibly threatening over there with its card draw. So there we're going to challenge in. We're going to scoot some damage over with the cat, send that Hades off the board. And that's one of the reasons you save those Hades now, because you do have some challengers. But we'll see if the other one chooses to go into anything else.
Yeah, we kind of want to go Cheshire Cat and Hades into the Madam M Elephant, and then maybe Lumiere into the Tipo, maybe? I don't know. You really want to get this elephant off the board, I feel, because the ability of moving and sliding over the 2 damage is too tough. Next up, Olympus is going to re-ready the Hades here.
Oh, what a fun card. Now it's not available. So that card in here to deal with some of these illusions, but in this instance, keeping that Hades safe. So a little bit of challenging going on there. Once that Demona comes in, there for the card draw, get a big body on the board. But he says, since your character is exerted, I might as well go in for a cheeky quest. I've got this card sitting around, and I'm going to ready this Hades to protect it. So a little bit of a board swing there.
Ooh, man. And Matt just showcasing how much of a rock and a hard place he is in right now, because he is it seems like he's very afraid to quest anything out, to make some challenges in. They're all bad decisions. I'm not going to lie that you don't have anything that screams, this is the best. But I can't believe he left that Madam Mim elephant on the board here. We're going to, and especially once we have Elsa Fifth Spirit, no way that Matt could have known that double Elsa Fifth Spirits were going to come down and exert his characters. But now we're going to be able to get rid of this Cheshire Cat. It's all a matter of how we want to do that. Maybe we challenge in with the Madam Mim elephant to put some damage onto her. Yeah, a little damage equity, if you will.
Seems like the best option, especially with the damage shenanigans that elephant can throw around, and a lot of board clearance here, and it is starting to snowball. A very wide board from the Blurple player. Cards exerted in different directions here, just for fun.
And now Chris Louis has taken the lead. He's at 11 with the wider board, and now Matt shaking his head, trying to figure it out, but I don't know how much there is to figure out here, Liam. I mean, Ruby Amethyst is tough in any scenario, but especially now that we're this late in the game. It looks like Chris is up to, what, 10 lore, if I'm not mistaken here?
Yeah, it's just a tough spot. Matt, at this point, digging for a B prepared, not going to find one. Hoping to reset the board here. But yeah, it is, again, inevitability in this match. And again, as we mentioned up front, this is a bad matchup for Matt. This is not what he's hoping to play into. It's a little bit better than the Emerald Sapphire matchup, but it is tough sledding.
Ooh,
here's
this is one of the cards that can come back down. I don't know if the one card left in Chris Louis' hand, if it is another Hades Infernal Schemer, that is going to be I think that will be the final card to come down here before Matt just decides to maybe scoop it up and call it a day. But if this Maui Half Shark can stick around, we will be able to get back the
next up Olympus, I think,
yes,
is all I've seen played. But we'll see if that Half Shark finally manages to stick around. It looks like it will. I see a cat and I see a Dumbo. So Dumbo now going to leverage, or he's going to leverage Elsa to draw a card, looking for a Hades or some answer for that shark perhaps.
And 4 evasive characters on the side of Chris. He can just keep drawing endlessly if he wants to here.
And drew into a guidebook, drew into another shuffling around. Oh, is that a... No, I'll see. I couldn't see what the other one was. Because it's upside down.
Upside down.
There it is. Okay, so now it's a Royal Guard. There we go.
4, 5, 6, 7.
But digging, not finding an answer for the shark. And here's the thing, though. The shark is a finisher in previous builds, in previous shark builds, in previous sets. It was built around actions. Here, it's not really a finisher. It is a big body. It can do a little bit of work by pulling back actions, getting you a little bit of extra lore.
But the thing is, with the action Next Stop Olympus, you will be able to play it because you... Am I mistaken on this card? You can ready chosen character. They can't quest for the rest of the turn, but they can challenge. And then the next time they challenge another character, they gain 1 lore. Maui Half Shark will be able to recur that back to your hand, keep playing it back,
challenging shenanigans,
and keep challenging, and you get an extra lore for every single
and you can play it for free
action that you play, and you play it for free because Maui Half Shark is a hero. So Chris Louis has to be very, very careful here.
Yeah.
Because this game is still losable for him.
Yeah, it can recur a few times. The limiting factor, unless you have the cat in play, which we don't here, is the amount of damage that Maui can soak up.
Right.
So you can do some work, but it can't cycle on in perpetuity. But it's a great point. That combo does loom a little large. It's one of the reasons you want to Hades that if possible.
Okay. We're going to break records one more time here, and ooh, that's not a bad card. Into the Unknown. You will be able to sing that if Matt is not able to play. If Matt isn't able to play back, you can put the Maui Half Shark if you leave it exerted. I can't imagine a world where you keep recurring back the same card and then leave that Maui Half Shark exerted, but yeah, you're right. It doesn't have infinite willpower is the issue.
Now, if you had the cat in play here, and with all of this ink, you could do some really, really nasty shenanigans by sliding around damage counters after every challenge, or, well, after one challenge, which would give you another one.